was just to show a bit how it worked, like this performance. For me, what was important at that point is the unspectacularity of the whole thing. Like, like to put on stage a telephone conversation, like, you know what I mean? Like, people are very, there is this dissociation when you speak on the phone of your body with what you're saying. So sometimes you're like very emotional and you're peeing on the toilet, or like, because you know that you're not seen. So I think I was interested in this also kind of behavior where, like the text is somehow detached from with the body who is representing this text. And so that's why I wanted to work on this telephone conversation. And on the other hand, this allowed me to create this kind of atmosphere that was very calm atmosphere, of a night telephone conversation between two people who are apart. And also the relationship with the mother and the daughter could happen in a way very freely, in terms of like the mother will react to what the baby does and still be able to keep up with the conversation in a way that she could, whatever, get angry or like go through different emotions, and at the same time be attentive to her daughter and be connected with her and what's going on, because there was already this dissociation of the phone conversation. So in fact we rehearsed a lot this piece, like for months, just to discover that the center of the piece has to be the baby. So we rehearse a lot just not to fix anything, to discover that we shouldn't fix, because sometimes when you're rehearsing you try to fix every movement and every emotion and try to get, to the point of, this is the perfect gesture for this phrase. And at the end, in this performance, the most important thing was to be connected with the actual situation that was happening on stage, that the baby was moving around. And if we would ignore that, then it would have been a total failure. So for me, the baby was somehow the real, like the real thing in the middle of the stage, interacting with this fiction. That was a fiction because it was a text that I wrote. And in this encounter, there was something that I was interested in, like this encounter between reality and fiction. And also how to adapt this text, because as you can see, there is a moment when the actor asks, what is she doing? What is the baby doing? And the mother says she's turning around, and she's exactly describing what she's doing. So of course the baby doesn't repeat this gesture, once and again. If I would have managed to direct the baby, then I would be, I don't know, in heaven. But in fact, she's improvising just these little bits of text. So you have the feeling that this is happening for real in the moment. But in fact, the whole, like the rest of the text is completely written. It's just this bit where he asks, what is she doing? That she describes exactly what the baby is doing. So also to feel free inside of a text that was very written, to insert some bits of improvisation to give this effect of reality. That was somehow also the center of this piece. And it was interesting because when we show the piece, also the way people is so, then you realize how much also the behavior of the audience is related to what you have on stage. So people would enter the theater. It was a small theater, we did it. So it wasn't like, it would have been more difficult in a place for 1,000 people to be with the baby. But the people would enter the theater, and then when they see the baby, they would go like and they will be so, and this was also amazing to discover that they were so attentive and silent, and they have a different attention, and this was because of the presence of the baby. And also it was amazing that the baby, we did like, I don't know how many shows, but we were performing for a year, and we even toured with the piece. And the baby would never cry. And in the rehearsals she would cry, but in the show she would never cry. And I was asking myself, well, how is it? I mean, she's a born actress or what? No, and it was because of all this attention. So in fact, that's what baby wants, you know, like the whole attention of like, and everybody was so attentive to her, to every gesture she did, to every smile she did, and they were like, ha ha, or whatever, that she felt that, and she felt protected by this presence of the people. It wasn't frightening, it was more like, it was a protective presence. But this was also because we had to create this atmosphere in the room to be able to perform this piece. I will jump to another